On average, at least one third of our lives are spent working. This year, I decided that if I'm going to be spending that big of a chunk of my life generating income to survive, I'll be damned if I'm not doing something that I enjoy. So last week, I made the executive decision to quit my job and become a full time artist. Throughout my life, I have been reminded of the same lesson in various different shapes and sizes, which is our reality is made up of what we accept and what we tolerate. The treatment we tolerate from others, the injustices we tolerate as a society, and the jobs that we tolerate that we don't enjoy. It's never sat right with me whenever people say, oh, that's just the way things are, in response to people saying they don't want to work a job that they hate until they're 70. That may have worked decades ago whenever a full time job could buy someone a house. But now most people can't even afford to pay rent with a full time job. So there is literally no incentive to do that. And it's just straight misery and nothing to actually work towards. For the past few years, I have worked an office job that I'm not passionate about and did not enjoy and have felt so hopelessly stuck. I've always been a very active and creative person, so sitting at a desk all day was just misery for me. And the thought of doing that for the rest of my life just genuinely felt like a nightmare. And at one point, I was like, I don't even want to live if this is all that life is. It felt like I was stuck on a hamster wheel, just spinning in circles, burning out, getting nowhere, with no escape or end in sight, especially with how abysmal the job market is currently. Nowhere pays enough. And I knew deep down that just going somewhere else or getting a different job wouldn't be any better or feel any better. So the longer I stayed there, I felt more out of alignment with my authenticity and what I was actually supposed to be doing. Life's too short for that. So if I'm going to spend 40 plus hours of my week working, I'm going to be doing that, doing something fulfilling to me and something that brings me purpose, and not be at the mercy of a company that profits more off of my labor than I will ever see reflected in a paycheck. I finally realized that if I want more for my life, I'm just going to have to create it. No one's coming to save me. I can't rely on working a regular job to get where I want. So I'm just going to have to create it. I started painting and creating art whenever I was about 12 years old as an escape from reality and a way to pass the time by. I always struggled with anxiety and depressive disorders for as long as I can remember. And whenever I was younger, I had a really hard time connecting with others, making friends, and just socializing in general. I didn't feel cute or confident in who I was, so I found comfort in creating things that I could feel confident in. Through doing art as a hobby, sharing it on social media, and being involved in various art clubs and art shows throughout high school, people eventually started approaching me asking me to do commissions for them, which I happily accepted. I never saw myself being a full time artist because I just didn't believe it was possible for me. I was confident in my artistic ability, but not in myself to market and manage and make a stable income from it. So I was just tickled to death to have a little side gig here and there, get to paint a few people's pets and give them something to hang on their wall and have that memory. After college, I got a job in HR where I had been for the past 2 years. I quickly realized it was not for me, but I had a long way to go to save up to do anything else. So I stayed for 2 years out of monetary necessity. I did maybe 1 or 2 commissions per year, but I didn't make any of my own original art really outside of that. My mental health was genuinely in the shitter working a regular job, and I just felt so empty and hopeless. I was too mentally exhausted to make art or content after work, and my weekends were spent trying to mentally recover from the previous week, recharge, and mentally prepare myself for another one. I went back and forth for months with myself, knowing that I had to do something to get out of that job before I mentally self destructed. That's whenever I realized that what I had been missing, what I truly enjoyed doing, and what felt right to me was creating art. It's like it had been hiding under my nose all of these years, just behind a few limiting beliefs. Like I said, I previously never thought it would be possible for me to pursue art as a full time job. And I had lots of doubts, especially in the hot mess that is our economy right now. But I realized that it is never going to be a good time to start. So I might as well just do it. I would open my social media each day and see other artists living their best lives, creating for a living, and I would honestly feel so envious. There was a trend for a bit on TikTok where all the girlies posting, "This is your reminder that you have free will. What did you do with your free will today?" And I was like, you know what? I do have free will. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do something I enjoy. This is whenever I had a big mindset shift and started seeing other people doing what I wanted to do as proof that it would be possible for me too. The only thing in my way was the burnout from my job. I'm the type of person where I can only focus on one thing at one time. I can't split my attention to multiple things and do well at both of them. I have to pick one and go all in. So that's exactly what I did and decided that pursuing my art would be a better payoff and way more worthy of my time. I had a decent cushion of money saved up, so I just had to get out of there to get my head out of water. Although I valued the stability that my job provided me, I realized that I value living a life that brings me joy, happiness, and freedom much more. Right now, it is Thursday on my first week of self employment as a full time artist, and I can confidently say that even though I don't have it all figured out and my business is still a work in progress, I have not felt this happy and this free in years. No matter how much money I end up making from my art, that freedom and weight being lifted is worth all of it. And I want to hold on to that as long as I can. If I'm being completely honest, I was really scared to tell people what I was doing and that I was quitting my job to be a full time artist because I was really scared of people thinking that I was stupid or just running away from responsibility because I didn't want to work. A lot of people hold the limiting belief that art isn't a real job, and they still believe that starving artist trope, or that struggling in a job that you hate is just part of life and the way things are. But I don't have to subscribe to that belief system, and neither do you if there's something else that you want to do. I haven't fully overcome that fear of people judging me for this. But I've decided to take action despite that because I know deep down that this is right for me. And that honestly just gives me more motivation to succeed and prove them wrong. So, anywho, that's where I'm at. That's my story. You all will be hearing and seeing from me a lot over the next few months. And if you would like to follow along on this journey with me, don't forget to hit subscribe and follow me on all my social medias listed below.